Good evening. Some of you may recognize me. I've been here a couple times. It seems like police misconduct is a recurring theme here. So hopefully the more people that complain and the more people that come and tell you guys their stories will urge you guys to do something about it. I had a whole speech for Kevin Johnson, but he's not here, so I guess I got to save it for next time. But basically, I'm going to come back over the next few weeks, and because I keep great records and I recorded a lot of these incidents, I can show you exactly what these people are complaining about. And lucky for me, I have an in-car camera. I always record anytime I'm approached by police officers. So over the next few weeks, I plan on showing you some examples of what your police officers are up to here in Sacramento. In a 2-year time span, I have been detained over 18 times. Apparently, I look suspicious, which I guess is a euphemism for whatever discriminatory intent the officer may have. I can be at the gym. I can be volunteering. I could be at the park. I could be on a job interview. And I am told that I look suspicious, and that is a police officer's reason for detaining me. This has been a long battle. I have been arrested 4 times for refusing to cooperate and talk to police officers, which I have a right to do. I don't feel as though I should have to participate in official expedition. A judge, I showed court all of my videos and audios, and he says, I happen to believe that the police department has been pushing the envelope, or certain officers have. She is stopped, contacted repeatedly on very flimsy grounds, The arrest, and I should have seen through this case, the arrest outside the massage parlor was totally unlawful. The officer acted on a total hunch and out of hostility that she wouldn't cooperate with him, and she has no duty to cooperate with him. Right. That was not a lawful arrest.
So I do need you to wrap up.
Sure, that's fine. I'll just come back every week so I could, finish telling the story about police officers here in Sacramento, and I just urge someone. I doubt if anyone does anything, because people come and complain all the time, but okay. I'll see you next week.
Councilmember Cohen.
We've had several people here with complaints about police department activity. You mentioned ombudsman, but it's actually the police and public safety accountability officer. We have an independent officer that does not work for the police department that takes these kinds of complaints. This council isn't set up to be able to do hearings on examining individual cases of whether it's discrimination, whatever abuse you allege. We're not set up to do that. We have a public safety accountability officer for that very purpose who's independent, does not work for the police. They take those complaints, and I believe that's what the vice mayor was saying he'd pass on. But you don't have to have us forward that complaint. You can make your own complaint, and they will investigate. And believe it or not, sometimes they uphold the complaint. They're not automatic that they reject complaints, but they will look to see if they're valid. This council does not do that. That's not our function to investigate individual complaints about police conduct.
Francine is awesome. That's the person you're referring to. She works in the Office of Public Safety and Accountability. She is very much aware of my several complaints. It was a case where she didn't agree, and the Internal Affairs said the officer was totally lawful. The judge, which I can give you a copy of, said the officer was totally out of bounds. So Internal Affairs does nothing. So I don't expect anybody to do anything, but I'm just going to come every week anyway and just present the information that I have. So that's the best I can do. No one does anything.
Next week, I guess.
Good evening, members of the City Council. City Council member, I am a part of District 5. I'm here tonight to address the lack of transparency in our local government, to be particular the Sacramento Police Department. They have, as of recently, 6/25, broke into my house on the claiming on the assumptions that I was on probation, and I was not on probation. I called our emergency services 911 to relay to them that these officers were going to break into my house, and failure to say they did nothing about it. The police department still kicked in my door. I was informed by an officer of the Sacramento Police Department that he was there for me videotaping them the day beforehand at an altercation that was happening across the street from my house. From my understanding, that is a direct violation of my First Amendment rights and a direct violation of my Fourth Amendment rights when they broke into my house. I have made numerous attempts to get copies of the police report, the in-car camera, the DAR recordings, the 911 call that I made, and I have made FOIA requests, and they have been denied, stating some. I'm not for certain what the case law that they stated. I don't have it in front of me, but all my FOIA requests have been denied. And as of this afternoon, I went up to the 5th floor to file my claims for these incidents, and I spoke with Mrs. Jess Hung, and it was a very pleasant conversation. And when I came back to file another claim, I was informed that I was not allowed back upstairs, and I would like to know why that has happened. There is a considerable lack of transparency being issued to me. I am a victim in this. I am homeless due to this. I have received a termination of tenancy for the actions of the Sacramento Police Department, and I don't think that it's fair as a citizen to have to deal with this. And the lack of transparency from internal affairs, the lack of transparency in records, the lack of transparency when it comes to the city clerk's office.
So we'll pass this on. We have an ombudsperson, and we'll pass your name on to her. Okay?
All right, and I'd like
you.
to make this an agenda item.
Okay, that's something that we do. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, City Councilman and Acting Mayor, and to my own dear Fong. I want to tell you all good evening. I have some, I was asking the young lady here about some of the things that I have here, and I don't know if we have the, if you have the, and it's within, I can cut it off within my timeline. But if we can just take a look at a couple of these right here, of what the community is very concerned about, above all myself have been through as being a city leader and has been an activist for years, over almost 20 years, and have went through some of this stuff myself.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think this computer has a CD drive in it.
No, we use thumb drives typically.
There's nothing on the side here.
No.
Well, this right here is right here was where the young man at the county jail was had the mask over him, and then they had him in this chair. To look at it is sickening, very sickening. And then myself right here, where it says Mom was on the news, where they had me hogtied, kept me down at the jail for 10 hours. And my mother, over all of this, they picked her up and threw her over me. My mother was 70-something years old, and she had 5 months to live. And by them picking her up, the sheriff department here, and threw my mother over me, and my mother slid on the floor. Nobody went to her to ask her, did she need any help? Simply because she wanted to see my brother, because she knew she was not going to see him, that she was going to be passed before he even got out. So,
Jeanette, we need your final thoughts. I'm sorry.
pardon me?
We need you to wrap up.
Yeah, and so some of these, one of these about that, and then the other ones are about the conduct of our jail and the conduct of our officers that need to be looked at.
Great. Thank you.